At what point do you have to confront yourself and say, how can I afford to continue relapsing all the time? And this is what I asked myself after just going on a 2-week streak, right? And look, I understand that like if you had like a 11-year addiction like I've had, more or less 10, 11 years around that time, it's going to take a long time to recover and to get on longer streaks, right? Some people, they're great. They can just kind of like dump the addiction there and go on one massive long streak and continue retaining until they want to or choose to relapse. That's not me, right? Because I don't have that naturally like disciplined or like massive like, I don't know where it's willpower that just overrides my system and I can just retain for ages, okay? I'll be honest with you guys, right? I still relapse now and again, but the frequency I do that is much less frequent. I used to relapse about like every day, like usually like on a very minimum every other day. But some people, I know they relapse multiple times a day, and that's like, it sounds like an absolute nightmare. At some points I was like that as well. But some people, I just don't understand how they have like the load of resources to waste. But I asked myself after relapsing this time, and again, I beat myself up a lot, obviously, but I didn't spend too much time focusing on the fact I relapsed. I just got back on now. I still feel great now because I've been retaining for at least 2 weeks. So I haven't drained like all the 14 days worth. All of that hasn't gone to waste, but I have lost a lot of progress, and I understand that. But I still feel a lot more alive because I've had those 14 days up until this point to save up. And I asked myself, what does it cost, right? Each relapse, what does it cost? Well, it costs you at least 7 days, a minimum 7 days of all the saving up you've done, right? Because you're extracting .exe file of like all of the resources you saved up, or at least, you know, it depends really on how long you've been retaining for. So for me, 14 days, right? I feel like I've lost like 7 to 10 days of progress. Now that really stings, right? But I don't feel like the worst I've ever felt, because I felt worse, right? Obviously I didn't feel great. But you got to think of, like, I think of retaining or semen retention like I do with my bank account. It's a really weird sort of analogy, but bear with me, right? Because I see semen retention as like a resource, right? Semen as a resource, because it is the energy, it's the fuel of your body, it's the life force inside of you. It's what gives you the drive to work on your business non-stop. It's what gives you the energy to go in the gym harder and to build more muscle and everything. This is all stuff that is like non-negotiable for guys nowadays. And when I started asking myself, you know what? This is costing me a lot more time and energy by the fact I'm relapsing, because first of all, it's costing you the time that you're spending watching porn and doing all these, you know, horrible deeds and these addictions. You're fueling your addictions, so you're also giving energy to it. So it's actually taking up a lot of energy as well as taking your time. The third thing is that it's not just the time you use, you know, doing and indulging in the addiction, but it's also the time afterwards. It's all the time you lose, and that could be like not just hours, that is days afterwards, and that's something that you're never going to get back. You're never going to get the time back on like last week on a Wednesday afternoon or whatever. That time is gone, right? That's always going to be in the past, and you cannot change that. But you can use your past failures to give you evidence, to give you reasons. Okay, well, look how much time I wasted before when I was watching porn or whatever, like, you know, however long you watch it. Maybe you're really quick and done with it, right? I don't know. But some people, they spend hours on it. And I was one of those people that, like, I would usually spend like a minimum 45 minutes watching it, because I would see the time go by, and like, it just honestly, it drained me so much just even watching it. And also because you're given that such like artificial spike of dopamine and pleasure and whatnot, that is like literally absolutely frying your dopamine receptors to the point where like doing regular shit in your day, even without relapsing, right? Even if you just edged or whatever, it still makes your day so much shitter. And now I see like there's more sort of like to lose with semen retention, right? Because when you release, right, you extract about like the last 7 to 10 days, like I said. It's going to take you like, you know, 7 to 10 days to get back to the feeling that you are currently right now. And that's not like, you know, just saying like, oh, going from being on top of the world and everything. That's going from feeling like mediocre to feeling like absolute shit, and taking 7 days to get back to feeling mediocre again. That kind of transformation doesn't sound anywhere near as inspiring as it's going from a really shit place to, you know, feeling on top of the world. Because yes, it takes time to get to that place anyway, but why would you want to undo all the progress that you just saved up, right? That should be the thing, right? And one relapse isn't the end of the world, right? I have to sort of like tell myself when I do relapse, because look, I remind myself that I'm recovering from a 10, potentially 11-year addiction from porn, okay? It's one of the most potent addictions ever, like across the world, and for young men or for men of all ages nowadays, because it's always going to be the most pleasurable thing you'll ever see in your life, apart from the real life thing. And even then, it's sometimes going to be more stimulating than that, because it's designed specifically to what you want to see. It's very highly accessible and it's free. You know all this stuff right by now. You've seen all these videos I made and say how bad, how accessible it is and everything. But like, nothing's ever going to compare to this. So you cannot afford to have porn in your life to any extent whatsoever. You can't have it in your life just to chill or have to relax, because there's other things you can do that, right? As opposed to like watching porn and relapsing. Even edging is terrible. And it's like, you cannot afford to waste all this time, because that's, first of all, time you're not working on your fitness, your general health, your business, if you have one. And look, I know I mentioned about business a lot, but I'm someone who just wants to make loads of money online from teaching stuff like how to retain and everything, especially for guys who are like really hard stuck in this addiction, because I'm not someone that can go like, I don't know, fucking 100+ days at the moment. I'm still, this is still new to me, and it's going to take at least 100+ days for me to sort of document that journey. But what I can do is I can get people from the biggest ruts of their lives and get them back on track and get them started to the point where they become more self-reliant, so that they don't need my help 24/7 to continue retaining. And I would argue that doing that part of the transformation of taking someone from relapsing multiple times every single day to doing it once or twice every like fortnight or whatever, that is massive. That's massive progress. And again, I want to get better than this, and I feel like I am. Like the addiction I have now is gradually becoming weaker. I'm relapsing less frequently because I just simply don't see the benefit, or I don't see the benefit of me relapsing is nowhere near as good as as saving it now, because I know what it's like on the other side. I know what it's like past, just past the month. And that is it's really motivating to have, and it's really exciting to have that proof now that I know what it's like on the other side. And until you get to the other side, you're never going to fully trust me. You're never going to fully trust yourself to retain. You're always going to struggle with the first few days, and it's going to happen, right? You're going to struggle a little bit. But if I'm being honest, the last streak I had of 14 days, it really wasn't that difficult, because I used my environment to shape my success. I made sure that I wasn't just stuck inside all day, every day. Even now, I'm recording videos in the evening. It's gonna fucking rain soon, and the sun's going in now. But constantly, I'm thinking should I go out and record videos now? Else it's gonna fucking rain. It's gonna be too loud with videos. It's not gonna be nice outside. All these doubts fill my mind, right? If I'd just been relapsing left, right, and center, there's no way I'm going out and recording videos. Also, because I wouldn't be true to my word of just constantly relapsing and making videos on this topic. But it's just the drive in me. I just need to go out and record more videos. I want to fucking get to a point where I'm uploading every single day, and that's going to be really difficult. But I know that it's going to be a lot easier if I'm retaining. And it probably looks like I'm going to heaven right now, because I'm wearing a white shirt and the lighting's just gone crazy, but hopefully it's all right to see. It's I'll make more videos on different topics as well as semen retention, but this one is generally just the fact that the way you should see it is semen retention is like money, right? When you see you have barely any money in your bank account, that should be alarm bells everywhere, thinking, fuck man, I need to get my unemployed ass in a job, any kind, I don't care, whether it's part-time, full-time, I'll take on 3 jobs, I'll figure this business shit out. And again, figuring out a business when you're unemployed and have no money is one of the worst things to do. I know some people have managed to do it, but I tried to do that, didn't fucking work, and it just caused so much stress, anxiety, and depression in my life that it was just the worst. So please don't be stupid with it, I've got a part-time job now whilst I'm building a business on the side, but there was a point in my life where I was unemployed for about 4 months between jobs. I quit a warehouse job because it's just fucking awful, right? I mean, again, the people were lovely and everything there, I say lovely, they were tidy, you could work with them, but I just couldn't stand the conditions you would work in. It's just destroyed my body, and it's destroyed me mentally. So I spent about 4 months of my unemployed ass, just playing video games, trying to figure out life and everything, and trying to do some shit in my life. And then I eventually got into a job, but just before I got into the job, I started, I think, what, fuck it, right? People talk about NoFap and everything. I need to actually try this for real now, because I am in do or die situation where, not exactly do or die, but I'm living with my parents now. I'm fucking depleted as fuck. I've got literally nothing going for my life. I need to do some shit with my life now. And the one thing I know I can do right now that might not be easy, but it's very simple, which is retaining. I can just go on Semen retention until I find a job, and even then I'll continue retaining just to see what the fuck it's about, right? Because I see all the people say about all the benefits of NoFap and everything, but specifically I title it Semen retention. One, because it gets more clicks, sorry. But the second reason is because specifically retaining your semen is what the practice is. It isn't just about not fapping, because like you need to like do more than just like, you know, not watch porn or whatever. You need to have a fucking life outside of that. And this is the second part. And again, people in my community, I say, and look, I don't hate anyone in my community, but some members, they're really insecure and they just depend on me 24/7 to fix their lives. And look, I appreciate that they see me as this kind of like celebrity status or influencer. And look, I appreciate that they respect me in that regard. But sometimes they give me a little bit too much respect and they don't sort of like become self-reliant. They don't take action on the advice that I give them. And look, there's a bunch of inactive members of the community as well. And, you know, that's wherever, right? I'm not going to force them. I'm not going to be messaging them every single day. Hey, you doing this? Hey, are you doing that? You know, I haven't seen you like take action. I haven't seen you complete the courses. I just haven't got the fucking time for that, right? In the same way that no matter how much Semen retention can help me, I can't actually help you any more than making these videos. Yeah, sure, I can jump on one-to-one calls with you in my community and everything. I can interact and, you know, get to a point where I'm doing weekly group coaching calls. That would be a sick thing to do. And that is one of my aims when the community does grow. But until that point, I just got to keep posting these videos, video after video, building the traffic, and that's just what I gotta do. And I can't do that when I'm depleted as fuck. It's not possible. So you gotta think of this point now, like you can't fucking afford now. Like I'm 24 years old, right? Eventually at some point, I'm gonna wanna move out of my parents' house. I'm gonna wanna, you know, buy my own house, start a family one day. I want to have my own experiences. I want to go traveling. I want to be able to quit my boring 9-to-5 job, you know, as much as I appreciate having it and I'm grateful for it and the people are nice there and all that great stuff, right? But like, I don't want to fucking have to wake up at 5 a.m. like a few times a week. I know, right? My part-time ass, right? But I don't have to wake up a few times a week just to go and change some bins outside in the freezing cold, dark, wet, windy, and just like my fingers go numb and it just stinks out there, and it's like, oh, and then I have to go back inside and work the rest of the shift, and it's like another 7 hours to go. And like, fuck, man, like, again, there's worse jobs out there, and there's worse things, you know, I could be living in a third world country, but just because you could be grateful doesn't mean you can't want more, and that's for me now. And now it's starting to fucking rain, so I'm glad I can't record this now. Have a good one, and as always, remember why you're doing this.